Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching and welcome to my channel if this is the first video that you've ever seen from me. So as you'll see from the title of this video, this is things you need to know before having a breast enlargement boob job. So if you do want to know as much information as possible on this topic, you can go to my homepage, go to the playlist section, and I've made a playlist section on all the things boob job related. So if you want to check those out, please do. In this video I've made a list of things on my phone that I want to try and get through, all the bits of information I think is crucial that you need to know before having the operation done. But if I do miss anything out and there's something that you have a burning question about, then please just pop it in the comments section below and I'll get straight back to you as soon as possible. So for now, let's just get straight into this one. So the first thing for me was the shock that I couldn't have the size implant that I wanted. So you can't just go in and say to the surgeon, I want to be a double D, an E, an F, etc. So it all depends on your boob size to start with, and the stretchiness of your skin. So I first started out as a 34A and I'm now a 34C. So it's not a dramatic change. I mean, I am perfectly happy with what I've got, but I think when I was going through the motions of speaking to the company and the surgeon, I wanted to get at least sort of a full D. That's just because I'd seen pictures of people who went from my size to a size D, and I couldn't really understand why I couldn't have that as well. But as the surgeon said to me, it's all about the stretchiness of the skin and how full your boob is to start with. So that is definitely something to have a think about. You can't always go as big as you want. I am perfectly happy with now just having 34Cs, but it is something that if you want to go as big as possible, it means that you might have to go have the operation done again after you've had your first boob job, so your skin is stretched to the size after your first operation, and then you can obviously go have a second operation, have your implants taken out, and even have bigger implants put in afterwards. So as I said, I'm a 34A and I'm now a 34C, and the implant size I had was a 325cc. So if you are in the motions of going through the process, you'll know what I mean by 325cc, but that is just literally the size of the implant that I have in my boobs. If you do have boobs where you have one bigger than the other, whether it's a small difference or big difference, your surgeon will probably pick up on that when you're going for your consultation with them, and they will say, oh okay, you need to have 300cc in one breast and 325 in the other breast because of the size difference. So if you do have one boob bigger than the other, don't worry, because the surgeons can pick up on that, or you can even tell them and they can put a bigger implant in the other boob. When it comes to implants, it's the same price no matter how big. So if you wanted just to go up one cup size or just have a fuller boob, and you literally just wanted to say 200cc into your boobs, and it's not going to make much of a difference to your size, you're still going to have to pay the same amount, whereas if you're going to have a 200cc or a 500cc. So for some people, I would suggest, if you do have small boobs to start with, just go as big as you can for the price that you've got, so you do get your money's worth, because over time, as I'll talk about later in the video, your boobs do decrease in size even after sort of a year, 2 years. So I would say go as big as you can, obviously not dramatically if you don't want the sort of massive boob effect, but go as big as you can, because they do swell at the start, they feel massive, but they do shrink after a few years. What really interested me when I was going to my consultations is that there's so many there's two different implants that you can have. So there is a teardrop implant, and I think it's called a high profile implant. So the teardrop is a teardrop shape, and the high profiles are more of a circular shape. So if you want boobs that look more natural, then the surgeon will probably suggest that you go for the teardrop implant, because it means that there's a slow increase to your boob and then you have the fuller boob at the bottom. Or with the high profiles, it means that they're very more round at the top, which is going to give you a better cleavage. So before your operation, I don't know, I can't remember what it is about smoking, but I know that you can't drink alcohol for so much time before. So say if it's your birthday or something and you're planning on having a boob job around then, I would say have it a few weeks after that, so that you can have a good drink on your birthday. When I went in for my surgery, I found out that someone was meant to tell me that you can't be on your period for the operation, and I was on my period, which was really annoying. I mean, I was at the sort of late stage, so I was really light into my period, but apparently someone was meant to tell me that I can't be on my period, which I think is actually a big deal. I mean, for me, I'm on the pill, so if it was a day or so here, I could maybe control if I was on my period or not for the operation, but it's definitely something to think about, because if you're someone who has sort of no control over your periods, you might want to think about the dates you have in your operation, because for me, the company said that I wasn't supposed to be on my period. The surgery itself actually only takes 20 minutes. I couldn't believe that. I thought that was way too quick, because it's literally 10 minutes per boob. But it's 20-minute procedure. And yeah, so by the time you've gone in for your operation, if you've got somebody waiting with you, you're only going to be gone for sort of half an hour, and then you rolled back into the room. So it is a real quick procedure, and you don't have to have much anaesthetic for it either. For me, what was really important, because I live in Birmingham and where I was having my operation was all the way in Preston, so the company I went with, they only had people, well, my surgeon on the days of my operation, one of these two facilities, so I either had to go to London or Preston. Preston was easier for me because I was thinking about driving into the centre of London would be an absolute pain, so I never actually got my time slot of my operation. I knew what day I was having it, but I didn't get my time slot until sort of a few days before, which for me I didn't like, because I'm an organised freak anyway, and the thought of not knowing if I'm going to have a morning slot, whether the person who was driving me to the hospital, we needed to leave in the early hours of the morning, if that person had to have a day off work the night before, etc. So it really is good to try and get a good idea of when your operation is going to be, just so you can set out your travelling methods if you are going to a hospital that is really far away. So before you actually have your operation, obviously you need to be thinking about buying new bras, new clothes, etc. Because even though I only went from a 34A to a C, which I am now, when I first had them done, they were humongous because of the swelling. I mean, they wasn't sort of, you know, massive melons, but they was dramatically bigger. And obviously I didn't have the bras, I didn't have the supportive bras that you're meant to have after you have a boob job ready. So what I had to go and do is I had to go and buy loads of new clothes, loads of new sort of work clothes for me to have, and also the big supportive bras as well. I think that some companies do suggest companies to go with and brands to go with in terms of what bras to get, etc. But you do need to have really, really supportive bras to hold your implants in place after you have the operation. So I wore the big bras probably for about 3 weeks. I think that was just because of comfort as well for me, but they are really expensive as well. So you do, as well as obviously the operation costs and the travel cost to the hospital, you also need to think about buying new bras, new clothes, and just some baggy clothes if you don't have any already in general, just because after your operation you're not going to be wanting to wear anything that's too restricting. You just want to be in nice cozy hoodies, nice large tops, etc. So after my operation, I come home the day after, because I had an overnight stay. I paid extra to have an overnight stay at the Preston hospital that I went to, and I was on a bed that was sort of slightly upwards, because you're not allowed, well for me, my surgeon suggested that I wasn't allowed to lie down for 6 weeks. So that was, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be that hard. I just thought, okay, I'll have a few pillows at the end of my bed, just leaning me up at night. But after a few weeks of my operation, it became really, really painful to even just sleep at night, because I'd be sort of paranoid as well that in the middle of the night I'd be lying down flat in the bed and I'd be thinking, oh shit, like I'm meant to be sitting up, etc. And then you can't actually, because of all the pain you've got around sort of your shoulders, your chest, the tops of your arms, you can't lift yourself up in the bed, so you find yourself trying to like shuffle up in your bed to try and sit upright. And after, when it come to the end of the 6 weeks, I was so uncomfortable, and the first time I ever lay down after that 6 weeks, I couldn't get over the relief in my back of just being able to lie flat. So it is something to think about, because I invested in a V pillow, which is really, really good for me, because I just leant it on the wall of my bed, and it meant that I was sort of trying to stay in the same position while I was sleeping. So I would definitely suggest investing in a V pillow, or just some really tough cushions for you to lie on when you're in bed, because you do have to be sitting up asleep for 6 weeks. So on that note as well, in terms of sleeping, and I've sort of mentioned it already, but it is really, really difficult to move yourself around. So if you've got deep sofas at home, if your bed is quite soft, and you don't have any sort of tables or anything to hold onto when you're trying to get yourself up, it's so difficult to get yourself out of bed and out of chairs. And obviously if somebody It's going to help you get out of chairs. Do not let them pull on your arms, because that is going to pull on your chest so much. It's going to be so painful. So if somebody needs to pick you up out of a chair, they need to sort of put their hands behind your back and sort of lift you forward, because I tried that and it was so painful when somebody tried to pull on my arms to get me out of a chair. It was literally unbearable, even when I was on the painkillers. So the painkillers that I was given, I can't even remember the brand now, but I think they told me that I needed to take them for 10 days. I think it was 10 days. I don't think it was any more. And you meant to religiously take them sort of morning, afternoon, night, or every 8 hours or something like that. And I had a time where I didn't take my painkillers, and the pain that I had in my chest was unreal. I've never felt anything like it before. It was sort of like a pulling on my chest, and it was so uncomfortable. And it was, you know, then I obviously remember that I was meant to take the painkiller, but it did take sort of half an hour for that pain to go away and for the painkillers to set in. So definitely maybe just have alarms on your phone for when you do need to take the painkillers, because the pain of not taking them just isn't worth it. The surgeon that I had said that after I have my boobs done, I needed to wear a band for, was it 4-6 weeks? But it was a long time after my surgery. Every surgeon is going to suggest different things for after your operation. So if your friend's had a boob job before and she's gone with a different company, different surgeon, etc., your aftercare is going to be completely different. I know that one of my friends, she had to have, she was sort of taped up. I can't remember how long that was for, but I didn't have any of that. So after my operation, they sat me up. I put on one of my old lady supportive bras, and then they give me like a strap, which was like a big Velcro belt. It was very similar to a resistance band, but think of the resistance bands that you can not have in a circle and just Velcro together. And I had to have that pushing across around my back, on my chest, pushing my boobs down. So the surgeon suggested that that was because it's going to hold your implants in place and not let them move around, which sounds great, but I didn't tell anyone at work that I was having a boob job done. It was something that none of my sort of family members really knew. It was just close family and friends, and it was a band. It wasn't a thin band, it was like, you know, a thick Velcro belt, which obviously stuck up here, so I had to sort of move the Velcro connection around here, because if I wanted to wear just a normal t-shirt, you would just see this massive belt just strapped around my chest. So I had to start wearing sort of baggy jumpers, maybe this for example, but even with this you'd still be able to see through it. But it just meant that when I went back to work, I had to just wear like a big fleece, because I didn't want anyone to question why I had a big sort of strap around my chest. So after my operation, after about 2 days, I started to notice loads and loads of bruising. I mean, to be honest, I was so scared to take off the sports bra for the very first time and just look at them, because I remember seeing them after the operation, and I looked down and it didn't even look like I was looking at my own body. They were just these massive mountains. My nipples were rock solid. They were like poking out of my gown, and I didn't even peep. I was scared, I was petrified. And I remember when the nurse came in and took my gown off and went to put the bra on, she had to help me because I couldn't really move my arms. I remember my mum sitting there and she was like, bloody hell, like, they are massive. So it didn't even look like me. So when it come to me being at home on my own and having to like change the bra because I needed to wash it or something, I was literally petrified. But the first time I took it off, I still had the dressing under my boobs, so I had it sort of bandaged up where the incisions were in my boobs, and I couldn't believe the bruising I had. So I'm going to put some pictures on the screen now of the bruising that I had. It was all around the sides and between my boobs. It did eventually go sort of blue and purple, but this was sort of the very first day that I seen the bruising on there. So it was quite dramatic, and to be honest, it made putting the bras on uncomfortable, because obviously it was pushing down on the bruising no matter what I wore, and obviously I had the belt on top of me as well. So it wasn't an extremely painful process, the aftercare, etc., but it's just little things that you need to think about and be aware of. So you just need to be so careful. I really would suggest having as much time off work as you can. I think they said to me I was meant to have They didn't say not have to have time off work. They literally obviously said depending on your job. If you have an office job, obviously you can go back to work sooner than if you were doing something that was quite where you had to move around a lot, where you had to lift things up, etc., where you're on your feet a lot, lifting things, all that sort of stuff. So you do have to take into account your personal life as well, in terms of holiday, how much time you're going to have off, because you're not meant to drive for, I think it was 10 to 14 days after as well. And the first time I drove, the steering was okay, because I was just like, you know, driving like a granny, but it was, for me, it was changing gear. I really struggled to like push and pull the gear stick in and out of place. But to be honest, that was the only thing that I found painful about driving after the 2 weeks when I started going back to work. On my one of my boobs as well, actually in the end it happened to both of them, but not so much. I will put another picture on the screen again now. I had just a nasty reaction on my boob, and because my boobs were so numb, I didn't even realise it was happening. So I don't really know what it was from. I wasn't putting any creams or anything on it. I wasn't putting anything on the incisions, but after a few weeks, I think my boobs had just had enough of everything, and it just started to peel off. It felt like the bottom of my boob had been burnt. I don't know to this day what it was, but just after you have them done, yeah, obviously you want to keep your boobs in supported as much as possible, but definitely, you know, at one point just hold your boob, check it, and just make sure that your skin around it's okay, because it actually was really painful then when I noticed it, when it was coming to take it on and off bras, because the skin that was clearly irritated was sticking to the bras. So as I was taking it off, it was sort of like ripping more and more of my skin off. Another thing after the operation was, I think I wasn't allowed to shower for about 2 days, was it? But anyway, however long it was, I couldn't go home and have a shower straight away. Obviously you had to keep your incisions dry. They do have dressing on, but it just meant that you just feel absolutely disgusting. You're sitting at home, you feel crap, you can't move because you're just stuck in a chair. And then it's the fact that you can't even have a shower as well. So it is something to have a think about. I mean, if you can have somebody come round and wash your hair for you, that would be a blessing. I know one of my friends come round and wash my hair in the sink for me. So if you've got good friends like me, then just get them to come round and wash your hair and help you keep your hygiene up, because I really struggled with that. I shower twice a day religiously, and the thought of not showering, it was unbearable for me. And if you can get ways around it, then that is a good idea. So I did find it really difficult with the exercising after. So you can't exercise for 6 weeks. You do have to be signed off by the nurse. Well, I did, by the nurse that was at the company, who was sort of checking me over every sort of few weeks after my operation. And I did find it really hard not exercising. So I just started to go on little walks with people, because I just had too much energy to burn, because I'm so used to going to the gym sort of 5 to 6 times a week. I really struggled not doing the exercise. And obviously exercising, it's anything that's just moving around a lot. So girls, your sex life, I think it does need to be put on hold for about 6 weeks, because it's going to be really painful if you're moving around a lot. So if you do have a boyfriend, you need to be telling them that 6 weeks, potentially probably 6 weeks, maybe even more, maybe a bit less, that you guys aren't going to be able to be having sex. I'm going to throw it out there that after a couple of months of me having my operation, I found out that my boyfriend at the current time of when I had my boob job done was being really unfaithful to me while I was going through that 6 weeks recovery. So the final thing I just want to go through is just about the swelling in general. So as I said, when you first have them done, they are massive and they are rock solid. They literally don't even feel like your boobs, because obviously they're numb as well. So I found that after sort of a few weeks, the swelling did go down and they started not to look like massive cones on my chest. They did start to go down, and just as the weeks go on, they just naturally get softer, become more boob-like. And for me, mine have never really lowered. Mine have always been quite high. I'll put a picture on the screen of what my boobs were like sort of a week after. Obviously they are nothing like that now. I'm going to do another video in the future about just the sort of swelling and the boob journey that I had in general, but that picture is what my boobs were like just after I had them done, and they look nothing like that now. So they look very pushed up, and the black bikini that I had there, it's got no padding, it's got no push up, it's literally just a string bikini. So that's just the bikini literally just covering up my nipples. So over time the swelling goes down, they do get softer, they do become to look more like natural boobs. I know loads of people, and I follow people on Instagram who've had boob jobs, and I always think, God, their boobs look perky, but you can just tell that they're wearing massive padded bras underneath their clothes. And for me, having a boob job wasn't about getting them out in clothes, it was me being comfortable in my own skin, because I hated having boobs. So when I feel my boobs now, they feel more like natural boobs. I mean, I can't actually remember what a natural boob feels like, and to be honest, mine were A's, so there wasn't really much there to feel anyway. But now they are so much softer, and I'm coming up to 2 years now, so next month is my 2 years post-operation, and I think now they're the best that they've ever been. I'm really happy with how natural they look. A lot of people don't believe that I have had boobs, but that might just be purely to do with because of the size of them, I don't know. But all it is you've just got to give your boobs time to settle. Don't panic that they're too big, they're too pointy, they're too hard, because they do soften, and it's crazy how it doesn't even feel like I've got an implant inside of my boob anymore, which I'm really happy with, because I don't really want the fake look anyway. So that is the end of all the pointers that I've got for you guys. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. I tried to whiz through them as much as possible, but if you do have anything else you want to ask, pop them in the comment section, and don't forget to like this video if you did find it helpful, and subscribe if you want to see future videos from me, guys. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.